I know.
Come on, Sam.
Okay, I got it.
Your mic matches your yellow in your shirt. Look at that. Did you plan that?
Don't worry about that.
He planned it.
Actually, it's my wallet. Lopsided. You got more cow here than you have here.
You're listening to the Social Geek Scene podcast, your scene for all the geek things.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Sam.
And I'm Jeremiah.
And you're listening to the Social Geek Scene. We've been getting a lot of questions recently with, the start of this new project of the Social Geek Scene, this social network of geeks is, what is a geek?
What is a geek?
Now,
that's a great question.
It is a really good question. I think a lot of people have stereotypes about what they think a geek is. I think a geek 20 years ago is not the same as a geek today.
Yeah, there's definitely been an evolution of the word geek, I think.
Now, this isn't a real definition of a geek, but my personal opinion of what a geek is in today's culture is someone who appreciates a great story and great characters, but those stories and those characters push the limits of our imagination. They push those boundaries past, just thinking beyond our own little worlds to something other than ourselves, something bigger than us. And I think that's what a geek is. And it doesn't have to just be comic books, superheroes, that specific genre.
Yeah, like Harry Potter or Hunger Games.
Even Twilight.
Divergent.
Just stories like that, everyone is a big fan. And they're very different, but we're all fans of those types of stories that just cause us to, to be inspired or have this hope in something more. And so that's why we really connect with these characters in movies and TV shows and comic books and graphic novels and novels themselves, that we just appreciate, and we look to these stories and characters as inspiration. And they, as we've been saying, for me, they push us beyond ourselves and they help us to long for something more. That's my thought of what a geek is. I know that's a little bit out there. Maybe it's not a traditional just nerd kind of a person or someone who's super intellectual.
Yeah, I feel like it could be taken as a derogatory term, but I think a geek is someone with a massive imagination.
Right.
And it's someone who lets their mind travel to these new worlds and experience, these crazy stories and all of that. And I think it's just
absolutely
just super cool that you can let your mind open up in that way. You're very open-minded, you have a great imagination, and you also like to have a lot of fun because these characters are super fun and cool and adventurous, and so basically you have an awesome imagination and you're fun. So you're a pretty cool person if you're called a geek.
So I think a lot of us just need to admit to ourselves that we're a geek. You're a geek, I'm a geek, and that's okay. That's not a bad thing.
Embrace it. It's a good thing, and it's the golden age of geeks right now. There's so much to get into, so many stories out there right now.
So much to appreciate and to enjoy. We lack nothing here when it comes to this genre of storytelling. So it's a great time to be alive right now.
Great time for the geeks. That was an awesome question, so thank you guys for asking that. If you guys ever have questions for us, you can always tweet us, DM us, all that stuff. We're on social media, so just hit us up. We'd love to talk about your questions on the podcast. And speaking of the podcast, would you like to just jump in right now, Sam?
Let's go ahead and get started. All right, let's recap on all the things that
the geek things.
All the geek things that happened this week. Specifically, let's start off with Daredevil Season 2 came out last weekend. It's on Netflix.
Goodness.
And we watched the first episode. We didn't binge watch it. We just watched the first episode with a bunch of our friends, made a night of it. It's a lot of fun. Wow, great start to Season 2.
Amazing start. Amazing end of episode 1. We all kind of jumped out of our seat, edge of our seat, P.S. Spoiler warnings. If you haven't seen this episode yet, make sure you go watch it before you watch this next part. So yeah, a lot of setup. They kind of had a slow burn leading up to Punisher, which was cool. You kind of got little hints of what's happening, and you kind of think it's like this gang rivalry happening in Hell's Kitchen,
right?
But later you find out when Daredevil finds that guy in like that factory hung up. He's like, "Who did this?" And he says, "Just one man."
Just one man. Not a gang, not a bunch of people, but
not an
one
army,
man.
one man.
The opening scene of the episode was Daredevil at work, protecting the streets, following a bunch of thugs who had, I think, stolen some things, and he just puts the hurt on them.
Puts the hurt.
He's wearing his new suit that he got at the end of season 1, so he was in full-on Daredevil mode.
And we also see Nelson and Murdoch doing great with clients, not so much money. But
I think they're being paid in pies.
Yeah, just
pastries.
Yeah, just random. They're on the barter system right now.
Yeah.
But the business is booming at Nelson and Murdoch since they got to put away Fisk for a little bit. We don't know how long, but we'll find out.
But we do see a big hole left from the Kingpin now being in jail. It's like who's running the crime underworld in Hell's Kitchen. And so we have a bunch of different gangs that are kind of
rising up, grasping at the power that they could potentially grab.
Right. But then Punisher comes on the scene and starts wiping them out. Like he's just unleashing
the fury.
Yeah. And he kills like this whole family of mobsters.
Yes.
And it's like, oh my goodness. And it's a little bit graphic, which I think they're allowed to do with Netflix.
Yeah,
be a little bit more realism and graphic and more adult with that. But already in this episode, we have Daredevil facing Punisher in a little fight scene.
Yes, we did.
I didn't expect that. I thought they were going to wait for that to happen maybe down the line during season 2. But they just went for it. And Daredevil...
And did they ever go for it?
Oh, yeah. And Daredevil, he came out swinging hard, but I don't think he was expecting
I don't think
he
was expecting Punisher to...
hold his own.
Yeah. And Punisher obviously definitely held his own. And so at the end of that, they kind of... Punisher pulls out a gun. Daredevil's like, are we going to talk now kind of sort of thing? And Punisher just says, bang, and shoots him
in the head.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think he shot him right in the forehead. I think it grazed his helmet. But still, I think some damage was probably done. And that's where the end of the episode leaves you, was Daredevil falling off the roof of a building, being shot in the head by Punisher, and Punisher getting up and walking away. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
So intense.
Crazy intense moment.
A great cliffhanger in the pilot first episode of season 2.
Yes.
So I'm anticipating a great season for Daredevil.
Oh, it's going to be a great season. I know some of our friends have already blazed through it and said it's great. So we're definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And also in the Marvel Universe, we also have Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
And I haven't really been keeping up with that. I need to get caught up, but I know you've been watching it. Sam, can you catch me up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and where we are? What do I have to look forward to?
Okay, well, right now we're in the middle of season 3.
Okay.
I feel like the show has progressively gotten better. I know season 1 was a little slow, but they definitely have picked things up. The big highlights for season 3 is that they've introduced, at the end of season 2, are Inhumans, which are a little corner of the Marvel Universe I think a lot of people are unfamiliar with.
Right.
So they're doing a lot of legwork trying to explain who they are and where they've been hiding this whole time, because Inhumans are half humans, half aliens. They're humans who've been experimented on by aliens a long time ago and have developed superhuman abilities.
Interesting.
And so Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has introduced superhuman powers beings onto the show, which I think have added a good dynamic to just agents.
Yeah, so now it's not just kind of like agents running around. There's super
it's not just a spy show anymore
and stuff going on now
right.
mixed in with all that.
And now SHIELD is trying to put together a team of superpowered beings, which is they've done in the comics called the Secret Warriors. And it's this group of SHIELD agents who some have been, some are inhuman, some are not, but they're just trying to recruit to battle. I know Hydra is recruiting Inhumans as well, and they're trying to build an army. And so that's kind of where we're at in season 3.
Hydra always does.
Is SHIELD trying to make sure that doesn't happen and to try to fight fire with fire. I know they're trying to prepare people for the Inhumans movie, which is set to debut in 2019. So since a lot of people don't know a lot about Inhumans, they want to use Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as a platform for introducing those characters.
Yeah, I think that's really cool how they are setting up that. So if that's not coming out to 2019, you have a lot leading up to that movie. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. world that's going to be kind of setting that groundwork. And that's a long time to set that groundwork for a movie, which I think is even cooler.
Right. So I think that they've done a really good job with introducing them. And now Agent Coulson is now leading S.H.I.E.L.D. He's the director of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Nice.
And we saw him get killed at the end of the first Avengers movie. But in season 1, he was brought back. And there's a lot of backstory and stuff. You need to go watch season 1 to see how all that gets explained.
That's all on Netflix right now.
Yeah, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is on Netflix.
Great.
So go ahead and, if you want to get caught up, go ahead and watch that there. And
I'm going to be getting caught up because that sounds awesome.
You need to. And since we have Captain America Civil War coming up, I think everything in the Marvel Universe is connected. So I know this show will be affected by that event. So it's good to be,
Yeah, it is cool how they are totally correlating the show with the movies in real time. So they are following that. And whatever happens, in the big TV Marvel Universe also affects this show, which is really cool.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Is on Tuesday nights at 9 o'clock on ABC. Great. So if you want to get caught up and you're on season 3, that's the night to watch it.
Awesome. Let's jump over to the DC universe, because why not? It's a great universe. Let's talk about Flash this week on the CW.
Flash is back after a little bit of a break.
Glad it's back.
Yeah.
Need me some Scarlet Speedster.
I love the Flash TV show. It's probably one of my favorite shows.
It's so much fun. It's a lot lighter than Arrow. It's a great show. This week we had, I feel like it was kind of a villain of the week episode. Those are still always fun, but storyline, we didn't really jump into any continuity of the big story arc until kind of the end of the episode. The Scarlet, or the Speedster trajectory. There she is. Trajectory pumps in some Velocity 9,
which is a speed drug.
And not like speed, but like super speed.
Right.
You don't want to take that at the club.
No, you don't.
So when she takes the drug, at the very end, she's kind of had an overdose. She's overdosing on Velocity 9. She runs off. Her lightning starts turning blue.
Which we've only seen that with Zoom.
And then she just kind of vanishes into thin air.
She evaporates, pretty much.
Yeah,
she
basically.
Disintegrates, something like that.
Man, that Velocity 9, that'll get you.
She went way too fast for her own good.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit of a tease to maybe why Zoom's lightning, his speed is blue.
Yes. And we also know that Jay Garrick, correct me if I'm wrong, Jay Garrick was sick, correct? And do we know, or do we think that Zoom is also sick?
Well, at the end of the last episode, we saw a Flash. We saw Zoom take off his mask, and it was, in fact, Jay Garrick. Yes. Now, there's a lot of questions to be asked about that. And there's a lot of theories because we saw Jay Garrick on Earth 1, and we've seen Zoom on Earth 2 at the same time. So how can they be in two places at once? and how this all works. So I'm hoping that these questions are going to be answered very soon, because Jay was sick, as we found out, and he was trying to take a version of Velocity 9. I think it was Velocity 6 first, the first version of that, and it was actually killing him. And he was trying to get his speed back. And so now we see Zoom is Jay Garrick, at least we think he is, and his lightning is blue. Does this mean that he is sick and he's taking Velocity 9, trying to heal himself? It's not working, and that's why he needs to steal the Flash's speed.
Yes.
That's a mouthful.
I think that's pretty much, exactly where we're at. But I have a question. Who is the man that Zoom has locked up with the mask on?
The man in the iron mask.
The man in the iron mask. Is it Leonardo DiCaprio?
That'd be really cool if it was, just out of nowhere, but I don't think it's him.
Yeah, probably not.
I think, actually, this is a way out there theory, so take this with a grain of salt. I think that's the real Jay Garrick.
Okay. Explain.
I can't explain.
You just think it is.
I do know that in an episode where Barry tries to save Harrison Wells' daughter, who's being held prisoner by Zoom in this dungeon, there was this guy with the iron mask, and he was trying to communicate, and he started to spell out the words through some sort of code, Jay. I think he was trying to say Jay Garrick, that maybe that's his secret identity under that mask, because why would Zoom try to hide who that guy was?
Right.
And so maybe Zoom is a different version of Jay from another Earth, or maybe from the future. And so he kidnapped him, and he's keeping his identity a secret. So there's a lot of mystery surrounding this, and it's been so great. It's kept me on the edge of my seat watching the show, and I think these are questions that are going to be answered in the next couple episodes, I'm hoping.
Yeah.
And I think the writers have done a really good job, really pulling us in, trying to figure out what is going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of times where we'll just hang out after watching the episode and be like, okay, how can this work? And we're trying to figure it out. We're trying to play detective, but yeah, they are giving us a ton of really difficult questions to answer right now. But it is super fun to talk about those theories. Also, just a little sidebar on Flash. Flash is crossing over on Supergirl and talking
tomorrow night.
Yeah, and talking about the Earth 1 and Earth 2 in the little featurette that they just released, which is on our Instagram. They have Flash, and he drew 3 circles on a whiteboard. So I kind of think he's going to be explaining, okay, I know about Earth 1 and Earth 2. Do you guys know this? And also in the featurette, Supergirl's like, no, I haven't heard of any of these people. So I think he draws a 3rd circle, and Supergirl is actually in this 3rd Earth. Right, Earth 3. I don't know.
Let's just keep adding them up.
Yeah. So we don't know, but just a little cool sidebar. I think that might happen.
And that episode premieres tomorrow night, Monday night. That is an episode of Supergirl with Flash as a guest star.
That's going to be awesome.
So let's move over to the other DC show that's on the CW.
Also in the same universe.
Same universe.
The TV DC universe.
TV DC universe.
Or the DC TV universe.
Is Arrow, featuring Green Arrow. One of my favorite shows. Also, I have a lot of favorite shows.
Yeah,
I'm going to be saying that
They're
a lot.
all your favorite shows.
Before Flash came out, Arrow was my favorite show.
Really? You like Flash more than Arrow?
I really like this version of the Flash and what they've done with them.
So. I like Arrow more because I'm just disagreeing to disagree, but I actually like Arrow more. This was a really cool episode. Felicity just gets her legs back.
Her ability to walk. Thanks to Curtis, one of her employees at the company she works for, created a chip that inserts into her spine and allows her to walk, which is pretty amazing.
Yep. Now she can walk again. So she's not really Oracle anymore.
She's not Oracle.
She's still Overwatch though. But I'm kind of glad she's not. Kind of similar to Oracle.
Too similar to Batman's stuff.
So glad she's walking around. However, it feels like she's a little emotionally distraught still. So she breaks up. She breaks up with Arrow.
Oliver
Sad
Queen.
face. Oh no.
He lied to me about his son.
Yeah.
And so there's that little emotional relationship going on that's affecting the team a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I did feel like this episode was a filler episode.
Not a lot of huge story arcs. I think one of the biggest thing was kind of like the legal battle with Damien Dark.
Yeah.
And it was the first time Arrow's kind of had to fight someone in the light, which I think it's cool that the team is trying to fight them in the light in the justice system, and they're trying to put Damien Dark away, the right way instead of just like locking him in a random prison on the island, which maybe they should do because Damien Dark still seems pretty crazy.
Yeah, and if you don't know too much about who Damien Dark is, he has ties with the League of Assassins. He's been around for a long time and this is new to the Arrow TV show, it dives into the mystical.
Yeah, the kind of mystical, magical.
Right. And we haven't seen that before on this show.
Right.
So it's definitely a new challenge for Green Arrow and the team to face a bad guy like this. Now, I know in the last episode that they brought in Vixen, who's a character in this universe now, to help take on Damien Dark, and actually destroyed one of his mystical icons or totems, which weakened him. So now they overtook him, and now they're on trial trying to put him away.
And we see at the end of the episode, Damien Dark gets put away, which is a great win for the Arrow team. But he doesn't look really scared when he's getting put away. He kind of has the evil mastermind grin. And they do the slow pan out from the cells, and he puts on a ring that was in his mouth. So obviously he was hiding it. This might be maybe like a mystical, magical totem or something that gives him maybe a little bit of his power back. We don't know, but he seemed very, very comfortable getting locked away in that last scene.
I mean, it could just be his wedding ring. He just misses his wife.
Maybe.
He's in prison. But yeah, so that's kind of where that episode leaves us, and he's probably going to get out, let's be honest.
Yeah. I mean, he has been the huge, overarching villain for this entire season. So probably going to get out and probably have to take him down one more time.
Mm-hmm. So another show within the same TV DC universe is Legends of Tomorrow, which is a spin-off of the Flash and Arrow shows, featuring characters from both shows coming together to form a team.
Yes.
It's been really exciting because a lot of these characters were kind of minor characters on these shows, and they weren't really like the well-known Justice League characters.
Right.
We have the Atom, Hawkman, and Hawkgirl, White Canary, which used to be Black Canary, who was resurrected, but she takes on the persona of White Canary.
From the Lazarus Pit.
We have Firestorm, which appeared on Flash first. And we actually have two villains on the team in Heatwave and Captain Cold, both characters on the Flash. So it brings a different dynamic to this team, heroes and villains.
Yep, and a new character, Rip Hunter.
Rip Hunter, who is a time master from the future who comes back in time to form a team to help stop Vandal Savage, which is an immortal villain who in the future apparently takes over the world. And also kills Rip Hunter's wife and son. And so Rip feels the need. He has to go back and change history. And so he pulls these characters, these people together to form this team to help stop him. But they're the most ragtag
bunch.
Random
Doesn't
group of
work
people.
well together.
Yeah. But this show is great, and they do work well together. It's a very interesting dynamic.
Yeah. We are still in season 1 of this, so they are. You have a lot of like friction with the characters. They don't really know where they stand. They're just kind of figuring everything out, and they all have backstories. They all come from different places, so they don't even know. They haven't even figured out themselves really, and they're trying to jump in this new team. And they're trying to save the world, and they kind of find out that they got recruited because they were legends. And Rip Hunter actually kind of told a little white lie about that.
He fibbed a little bit.
He kind of chose them because they weren't legends and because they weren't going to really affect the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of the least amount of damage that he can do, was recruit that ragtag team, because they were kind of like at the low end.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're trying to prove to themselves and everyone else and save the world and become legends.
Right.
So I think that's a very cool storyline that kind of sets this whole team together.
Yeah. One of the things I do like about the show is the whole time travel aspect.
Yes, it's a lot of fun.
Like almost every episode, they're in a new
time era, yeah.
Yeah.
So 60s, 70s.
I mean, all the clothes are different. Yeah. Just how they have to infiltrate and, try to defeat Vandal Savage in these different time periods is really cool.
Yeah.
It adds an interesting dynamic to the show. Mm-hmm. And they have to wear different clothes every time.
Blend in.
Yeah.
While they're, all superheroes and craziness.
Mm-hmm. And so it's just great seeing a superhero team dynamic on TV who each bring a different set of skills to the team. And it's been great to watch. It's very entertaining. And they did get renewed for a second season,
nice.
Which I wasn't sure if this was going to be a mini-series, just a one-time, because I know these characters are probably going to go back and appear on Flash and Arrow. But I think we're going to see future characters in the DC universe join this team, and which I'm really looking forward to.
One of the coolest episodes that they did was they went into the future, and they actually met an older Oliver Queen, who had the beard, who kind of looked more like a classic Green Arrow, had his arm cut off, which is insane that they. But it's so cool that they can do this stuff. They have a lot of fun things and ideas to work with.
A lot of good material
when messing with time travel. What I would like to see, Sam, is this is my idea. So hopefully they hear this and they're like, yeah, let's do this. I think they should go into the future and visit Mr. Terry McGinnis, which is Batman Beyond.
Batman Beyond.
I would love to see that.
That would be really cool.
Yeah. I don't think they'll do it, but maybe.
Why not? Because we're not likely to see Batman.
Yeah, we're probably not going to see Batman
on these TV shows, other than with Gotham. But Superman, Batman have kind of they're saving them for the big screen. I think that's what DC's trying to do. But that version of Batman would be really interesting to see.
Yes,
so
I would love it. That's just me geeking out. Also in the DC universe this week, someone released a really cool
Entertainment
picture.
Weekly, I believe, released a picture from the new upcoming Wonder Woman solo movie coming in 2017. And it was a picture of her and some other Amazons in their traditional Amazonian clothing. I think they were on Themyscira, their island that they all live on.
Okay.
And so it's teasing that a little bit, that we're going to see a lot of Wonder Woman's backstory, her origins, and just her side of the universe.
Yeah, I can't wait to see this. We just saw Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice last night. Super pumped about that. We're going to talk about that in a later episode. But Wonder Woman in the movie was so cool. And that image, that just gets me super excited for a Wonder Woman solo movie, which we've never had.
Yeah.
We used to have a Wonder Woman TV show way back in the day.
Way back when.
But it's really cool that we're going to get to see her on the big screen.
Gal Gadot does a fantastic job.
Oh, amazing.
I think a lot of people were like, really? She's going to play Wonder Woman? She is Wonder Woman.
She crushed it. If you haven't seen Batman v Superman, make sure you go check that out, because it'll
make your head spin.
It'll make your head spin.
I'll say that.
And we'll leave it at that. No spoilers.
Well, I think that's all we have for this week.
Yeah, I think we did talk about all the geek things.
We did. It was a great week in the geek world.
Yes, it was. And we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks for listening to this week's podcast. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, connect with us on the socials, and online at socialgeekscene.com.